Is once a Hawk, always a Hawk. It's good to see the entire Hawks family is here joining us this evening. I gotta be honest with you, I don't know much about baseball. I never played baseball. I watched baseball. I announced baseball. That never made me an expert of baseball. But I watched Jordan enough that Jordan had 2 pitches in his arsenal. Jordan on the mound. Throw fastball, wind up that body, throw fastball. His second pitch was, well, it depended upon the umpire. If the umpire called a ball in that first pitch, here comes his second pitch. It's a fastball with a little bit more anger, a little bit more rage inside Jordan. Take your rubber band and wind up just before it breaks. That's his second pitch. He was also a fielder. I think mainly shortstop. Almost, he would take it as an insult that if a batter would hit a ball his way, he picks that ball up, throw it over to first base, and he wants to beat the batter running down that line by 30 feet. That's just the way it was an insult to him. Don't hit the ball to me. I'm going to throw you out by 30 feet. This is not the only tribute that will be here on the property. There's other tributes around Hostelli Field that recognize Jordan. And the one in particular that I'm thinking of is every once in a while, Jordan would be at shortstop, pick up that ball. Every once in a while, Jordan will throw that ball where his arm was almost separating from his shoulder. He would throw it so hard. And every once in a while, the ball would be released a little too early. The ball might be sailing over the first baseman's head. And if you look down there at the first baseline and that fence, you're going to see a couple of dings. But there's a couple of also stronger marks in there that Jordan left. Jordan would rifle that ball over there like his next meal depended on it. And I guess my point of saying this is when you watch Major League Baseball, and you see these guys just running down, just jogging down, just going through the motions. If you never watched Jordan play, and the new players that haven't seen Jordan play, it's a shame because every night he gave his greatest energy, he gave his best effort, he left everything that young man had on that field. And you could take a lesson for that because he really made a mark out there, not just here and not just on the fence, but also in his effort. It was an amazing effort to watch that young man play. So, as we continue with this, there are many people behind the scenes that many of us don't know. We only end up seeing the coaches through the years. But Norgwin Baseball and Softball Organization has some great people behind the scenes. One of them is with us this evening. Would you please welcome the president of Norgwin Baseball and Softball Organization, Mr. George?
Thank you, Ted. Good evening. On behalf of Norgwin Baseball and Softball, I'd like to welcome all of you here tonight for the dedication of the Jordan Campbell. Is that better? Thanks.
Yes.
The Jordan Campbell Memorial. It is with heavy hearts that we dedicate this memorial tonight. As we all know, losing a son, a grandson, a brother, a cousin, a teammate, especially this early in life, is devastating. Our sincerest condolences to Jordan's family who are here with us tonight. You know, when Jordan's family decided that donations to Norgwin would be given in his memory in lieu of flowers, we came to know just how much the Norgwin community and baseball meant to him. It was always clear to everyone around him that when Jordan was on the field and even in the dugout, he gave it his all, as Ted just mentioned. Whether he was at shortstop diving for a ground ball, or on the mound mowing down hitters, or in the batter's box ripping doubles over the head of outfielders, his love of the game of baseball was crystal clear. So with that in mind, I would like to officially dedicate this new memorial garden to Jordan Paul Campbell. I would also like to thank his family I would also like to thank his family for making this possible. And to Steve Cameron, where is Steve? For the inspiration and the driving force behind its creation and this evening's event. Steve went to a lot of trouble. And to Scott McNanny for his tasteful design. Where's Scott? So let me wrap up my remarks with a saying that applies to Jordan and his teammates, his coaches, his family, and really the Northwind community. And that is, as on the plaque, once a Hawk, always a Hawk. May God bless you, Jordan, and your family. Thank you.
Taking the field tonight against Hatfield is seeing a large amount of success on the field. And right now, let's open the microphone up to their head coach, who is responsible for that. Please welcome to the microphone, Coach Kevin Harris.
The late Pat Summitt has a quote here that I think sums up a lot of Jordan. She says, "There's always someone better than you. Whatever it is that you do for a living, chances are you'll run into a situation in where you are not as talented as the person next to you. That's when being a competitor can make a difference in your futures." That definitely was Jordan. Jordan definitely was not the biggest nor the strongest, but at the same point, nobody competed any harder than Jordan ever did. He viewed baseball as an opportunity to embrace everything positive that he had in life, and was used baseball as an escape from all the troubles that had taken place over time. And anytime Jordan walked onto the baseball field or was surrounded by a baseball field, all you saw was nothing but wonderful things, hard work, dedication, talent, and always a smile. And Jordan taught me early on as a coach that baseball is much more than a game. He taught me that baseball can make profound impacts on one's life, regardless of age. And as Jordan said, once a Hawk, always a Hawk. God bless you, Jordan.
As Jordan's first year on the Legion team, he ran across a coach here that had already built up an impressive resume, and took Jordan under his wing, gave him the right direction, and now let me please introduce to you a former coach of the Northwind Hawks. Please welcome Mr. Kevin Monero.
Coach Harris and I must get along real well because I'm saying almost the exact same things he is, but I think it also says how well we knew Jordan. But before I get into that, I just want to say that youth baseball is really screwed up right now. There's a lot of issues out there with baseball and young kids coming up and where they play and what they have to do to play. And where baseball is real good and real strong and real pure is a place like this. Because in the state of community baseball today, when you have people like all these people over here that made this ceremony possible, all the people back here, it's a big, cohesive family. And when Coach Harris says that it's more than just a game, he's right. It's a family and it's a life experience. And that's where baseball is still good, and that's where youth sports is still good at places here like the Northwind Baseball Complex. So in terms of Jordan Campbell, my first memory of Jordan Campbell is extremely clear to me, and I can picture it like it was yesterday. We were at North Penn High School baseball camp, and Jordan was a freshman. So as a rising sophomore, he was out on the field, and we always tried to look at the kids that were coming in as sophomores at baseball camp to see what kind of talent we had coming up. And Jordan Campbell was standing out there in his Lansdale Cannoneers hat, and he had a black eye. And he won me over immediately, because that's exactly what we needed. We needed tough kids from Lansdale. I have absolutely no idea. I don't know where the black eye came from. He might have got hit with a ball. He might have hit his face in a door jam or something, or he might have gotten some kind of backyard brawl. I have no idea. But he had a black eye, and he had a very good arm. And those two things define what Jordan brought to the baseball field more than anything else: toughness and talent. And those things became very, very apparent as I got the opportunity to coach him in his first year of Legion Ball. My last baseball memory of Jordan was in Pottstown. at Sunstrom Field on a hot July night, probably a lot of mosquitoes and gnats all over the place. And in the 2011 season, we were hosting regionals, so we knew our season was going to go on for a while, but it wasn't the best Hawks team that we ever had. So our postseason road was going to be difficult. So there we are against Pottstown, and we send a young, small sophomore right-hander out to the mound, not really knowing what to expect in a playoff game, and Jordan just completely mowed him down. And that game sent us into the winner's bracket final the next night against Penn Ridge. And that game, more than any other game, stands out in my mind as being a high water mark for Jordan in terms of his ability on the field. I have no idea what his line score was. I have no idea how many strikeouts he had. All those numbers are completely inconsequential. What I remember is how he battled and how he put his team on his shoulders as a young first-year player, not intimidated by anybody else on the field, and got us into that winner's bracket final. But it wasn't until several years later, which was last year at Jordan's funeral, that I realized really how important baseball was for him. And by the way, I think I want to say, from my standpoint anyway, this is a very happy occasion. It's a happy occasion because we're celebrating great things and we're honoring somebody whose name is going to be there forever. And when you make an impact like that, that's something to celebrate. So when I talk about some of these final memories of Jordan, it's all happy. It's happy, good, positive stuff that's going to affect a lot of people going forward. But to indicate what Coach Harris said, to follow up on that, when you lose when you're in Little League or Legion or high school or whatever, as your player or coach, people will come up to you if you're down and will say, don't worry, it's only a game. And that saying has its time and place, but it's much more than just a game. And it's a diversion. It's a way to let out some frustration or some anger, or to go out there and be yourself, to put everything that's going on off the field aside. You know, when you get older and you have your cell phone attached to you all the time, you got to check your email and all that kind of stuff. It's 2 hours where none of that stuff matters. It's the greatest thing in the world. And I knew how much that meant to Jordan, how important that diversion was. When I walked into his funeral, and the first thing I saw was the lineup card from that game at Pottstown. And it was in as crisp, mint condition as it was the day that we hung in the dugout at Sunstrom Field. And I know by how well he took care of that and how well his family took care of that, how important that was to him. Jordan would be out here. His family would be here. Everything was right in the world. The simplicity and purity of baseball wins out in many of our lives that we have the opportunity to play it. So for anybody here who's a player, who was a player, who was a coach, embrace every moment you have on the field and remember it's much more than just walks, errors, strikeouts, and hits, and it's much more than just a game. And when we look around here today and we look at that sign over there, I think we're reminded about how much more it is than just a game. Thank you.
Introduce another member of the Hawks family, a former teammate of Jordan. First baseman, former pitcher, please welcome Nate Heller. Thank you. So Jordan and I, we first met back in 7th grade baseball. He played shortstop and I played third base, and every day at practice we talk about God knows what us 7th graders talked about, but ever since then we always stayed good friends. Through middle school, high school, and Legion, we always were on every team together, always playing together, always having fun, and Jordan was always a great teammate to have, great friend. And one of the things I loved about Jordan was that every game he played with emotion, he played with heart, and he always wore his heart on his sleeve, which I loved. And during games, when he was upset about a call or the way he was playing, oh, did you know it? And it was always in your best interest to stay at the other end of the dugout. But on the other hand, when Jordan was playing well, everything was going great, he always had that big smile of his, which you'll always remember. And that's what I love about Jordan. So through middle school and high school, we always had classes together, always sat next to each other, always talked during class, which I'm sure the professors loved, but oh well. Overall, Jordan was a great friend. Sure do miss him. Always thinking about him, especially right now if I'm at work and doing something monotonous. I'll just think of some random memory and just start laughing. And that's what I love about Jordan. Always made me laugh, always had fun. And overall, on behalf of all the Norgwen Hawks players, past and present, we'd like to send our condolences out to Jordan's family and hoping that this memorial preserves the memory of him on forever. Thank you.
How about another member of the Hawks family, in fact, a direct member of Jordan? Would you please welcome, you won't know her name, it's Jordan's grandmother. Come on up.